Hey guys, the other day I posted a high score run on Kyros, and I mentioned during the video I didn't really think that was like the best way to do the fight. It was just what I had at the time. Well, I was correct, and I've spent the last day or so using my orbs, practicing on the boss, optimizing my rotation, and I have now come up with a, in my opinion, much better damage rotation that kills the boss on turn 10. It gives us a lot more time to set up for that final burst after the dispel. I'm dealing way more damage even with all the defense mods turned on now. This is significantly better damage than the run I posted the other day. The trade-off is it's more dangerous to survive. We're going till turn 10. We are staying in phase 2 for multiple turns. So this is trickier to survive, but I think I have, for the most part, managed to work it out to where my tank is now surviving just about every attempt. So you might notice I'm only at EX15 currently. I might use the Shard Step Up Monday to EX3 my Ling, which allows me to perfect score this boss. But as you'll see, I'm turning on every modifier that influences the fight. So we're not turning on one of the HP mods, because I can't turn it on, but that won't change the strategy at all. It literally will change absolutely nothing, because we're going to perfect score. We're going to do more than the damage cap, which OTKs the boss even with everything turned on and full HP. So the boss is going to be OTK'd no matter what, by a huge amount, even if you have every single modifier turned on. So the strategy won't change. We've got all the attack and magic, all the defense and spirit, all the resistance mods turned on. Okay, so I will show the team and the gear at the end of the video, but let's go ahead and show the clear first. Now, like I said, this is mostly foolproof, but sometimes the boss just goes insane on turn 1 and kills the tank. So in case that happens, I'm going to go ahead and cut the video here, and then I will start it over if that happens, so I don't got to record the intro again. But otherwise, let's get into it. Alright guys, remember where I said in the intro that sometimes things go wrong, something did. So I'm going to turn the modifiers back on, and we're going to go again. I actually adjusted my turn chart to make an even better change. Yeah, this is still a learning process. I'm still optimizing a little bit. Yeah, we had a problem on turn 3. I'm going to fix that with the change I made. Anyway, here is the ambush. Okay, so we're going to wait for autocasting to finish. First thing we're going to do is Golem with Elena. Shift Behemoth to the base form, shift Yigni to the base form, and shift Ling to the shift form. Do all that first before you do anything on turn 1. Well, after Golem. Alright, now Ling is going to triple. We're going to Blithe. We're going to Assassin Stance for the human mitigation, and Dragon Dancer to fill LB gauge, as well as LB. Behemoth and fill mana. Behemoth is going to cover Demon Mitigation and 4-stack Mirage for himself. Sky is going to Magnus and double hit the boss to use Blind. Alright. Louise is going to Field, Amp, Killer, and Stats. And Yigni is going to Advanced Fire, Laws of Nature, Novice Fire, and Gemini Enchantment. Okay, so this turn 1 is really painful, but we've got 50% general mitigation, 70% physical mitigation, 50% demon mitigation, 25% human mitigation, 250 defense buff. The boss is also blinded. So, as long as a bunch of hits miss from blind, we'll be okay. We did not do accuracy down yet. All these misses are because of blind. So turn 1 really freaking hurts. As you can see, that was very, very painful, but thankfully turn 1 was one of the most dangerous turns of the encounter for us, because we're not using Behemoth's Magnus on turn 1. Now if we're lucky, he'll counter heal all the way back to full, or at least close enough. That's close enough. Okay, so now Behemoth's going to guard for survivability. Wait for all this casting to finish. Okay, we're going to shift Sky, and we're going to do her LB. That puts up D accuracy, so we're going to take even less damage now, by a huge amount less damage. Elena is going to Protection of the Azure and use Legendary. Ling is going to triple. We're going to do... Oh, we gotta go to the base form. Okay, we're going to Blythe, we're going to Magnus, and we're going to Celestial Dance. That's going to fill LB gauge on Sky. It's also going to fill, or give us 4-stack Mirage to take less damage. Alright, now we're going to start dealing some damage to the boss. We're just going to times 4 Disarming with Louise, and then we're going to times 4 Novice with Yigni. So you notice we didn't do mana regen that turn. All that mana was from countering with Behemoth. If you're having problems with your DPS's mana pool, door pot their mana. So Behemoth's counter will refill their mana, more mana per counter. Because Behemoth's AoE mana refill is a percentage. So the bigger your mana pool, the more Behemoth will refill it when he counters. Alright. So turn 3. Turn 3 was a really painful turn because the boss does Seal of Torment this turn, but I've changed my actions to account for that. Alright, Behemoth, please stop countering. You're wasting morale because of the bug. Okay, so Behemoth is going to just guard on turn 3 as well. We're going to, as the first action, we're going to use Sky's LB here. Now, if Sky's LB wasn't filled up yet, you could have used Ling. Well, we're going to use Ling anyway, to Blythe, Enthrall, and Passion. That would have filled Sky guaranteed because Celestial Magnus, or Celestial Dance was 30, Passion was 10, Sky's LB is only 40 size, so that would have been a guaranteed fill. Elena on this turn is going to Refragmentation, Beloved, and Legendary. Let's see, it's turn 3. We're going to deal damage this turn. So Louise is going to double Disarming, Neutralizing, and Nano Machine. Yigni is going to triple Fire and Debilitating. And these skills, the self-cappings, both land on the same frame. So they keep the chain from breaking. So it's really nice. Yigni and Louise work well together. Okay. Turn 3 is pretty painful. As you can see, the boss is dealing like, 5-digit damage sometimes. That's the elemental damage. But now that we gave Crystal Refragmentation, Behemoth survived that way better than he did the previous time. Okay. Let's go to turn 4. Turn 4 is going to be another dangerous turn. But we're going to use Unbreakable Will to help survive turn 4. Alright, once again, we're going to guard Behemoth because his cover lasts 4 turns. We're just going to keep him alive. We need to LB with Sky yet again. So we're going to shift Ling. We're going to Assassin Stance for the mitigation. And then, oh, nope, I'm lying. Wrong skill. We're going to Morale, and Magnus to fill up Sky all the way. So we can LB Sky again. Now Sky is maximum stacks, and we have put up accuracy down yet again. Alright, Elena is now going to finally give us the killer and double fill morale. We're going to shift Louise. We're going to do field, amp, killer, and stats. And Yigni is going to go to the shift form. We're going to... the boss put up Imperil last turn, so Yigni's going to fix that. We're going to do 4 hands. We're going to Soul Projection, Shrouding Veil. We're going to Seal of Doom. And we're going to Secret of Life on Behemoth. Make sure you do this. It doesn't really matter. It drains mana, but Behemoth doesn't really care about that. It's also going to cure all our debuffs. And it should push our morale above 180. It looks like it did. Perfect. So now we cured all the Imperils. Just enough morale. This clear is relatively tight on morale because I had to waste Elena's turn 1 for Golem, but it's fine. Alright, a lot of damage. This is one of the last dangerous turns for the next few rounds. Yeah, turn 5 and 6, the boss has no accuracy, so the damage is very, very low. The incoming damage is actually 0. We're going to take 0 damage the next 2 turns. Okay. Let's see. So Ling on this turn is going to triple. We're going to double fill morale and just do rallying dance. Alright, Sky is going to go to the base form and just use her Magnus. We actually don't want to blind the boss this turn. Behemi is going to cover, Frilly and Ferocious, and Departed King's Mantle. Elena is going to just Morale, Radiant, and Legendary. Yigni, go to the base form. Let's Advanced Fire and triple Novice. Louise will go to the shift form, and we're going to ×4 disarming. Whoops. Oh my god, stop it. Okay, and we're also going to use the 400% attack and magic buff. Deal some damage here. We're getting ready for a burst next turn. And make sure when you're clicking, you click Louise first as the chainer, because we want her to get dispelled, not Yigni. So there you go. The counter went to Louise, because Louise auto-cast her buffs at the start of the turn, so the spell won't really bother her. She's going to get rebuffed automatically. Okay, now we're going to cross that 50% threshold this turn, but before we do, we need to imbue and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so we're going to, as the first action, we're going to imbue the party with fire. We're going to use Dragon Bite to soak a counter, also to start stacking it up for later in the fight. And we're going to Dance of Ferocity to fill mana, LB, and all that. Alright, we're going to use the Attack and Magic buff, Resounding Will. Don't use the defense buff. Alright, Behemi is going to triple Royal Rake. We're going to go to the base form with Elena. We're going to Speed of Light. And we're going to Piercing and double Salvation. We're going to shift Sky and do her shifted LB, which is now stacked up. Yigni is going to quad. We're going to Novice 3 times and then self-cap with Debilitating. Louise is going to double Disarming, Neutralizing, and Nano Machine. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and chain this up, and this should push the boss to the 50% threshold. Even if the boss has that last hit point modifier on, this is still, as you can see, dealing a ton of damage. Very, very easily going to push this threshold. Okay. So we did 1.4 billion, which is about 40% of the boss's health. So yeah, we did a ton. Anyway, threshold crossed. It's a non-accuracy turn, so the boss can't do anything. Now we're in phase 2. Now we're going to start taking more damage. All right, so Behemi first action is going to, we got completely dispelled as well, all dispelled. So we're going to put up a 400% defense and spirit buff on this turn. Behemi is going to LB. That puts up physical cover and a better cover mitigation for himself. Ling is going to... Whoop. We're going to shift. We're going to stay in the shift form. Ling is going to, in this order, we're going to Enthrall for the Imperil. We're going to Assassin Stance for the human mitigation. And we're going to Ferocity for the morale. Elena is going to go back to the shift form. Make sure you go back to the shift form. It's important here. And then we're going to Golem this turn. Sky is going to triple. We're just going to Furious Skyfall 3 times to mostly to try to blind the boss. We really want to blind the boss if possible. It didn't happen, which is really unfortunate, but it should be overall fine. I hope. We'll see. Okay, so we're just going to use all 4 modified gears here. Don't use Louise's field. Yigni is going to shift here. Alright, we're going to, in this order, we're going to Magnus on Behemi. We're going to Soul Projection, double Shrouding, and that's it. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so the boss doesn't have his attack and magic buff yet. This turn is not super painful. We do have all kind of debuffs from the boss as well, and lots of mitigation. Golem is up currently, but as you can see, the boss still really freaking hurts. Please stop hurting so much. Okay, so next turn, is turns 8 and 9 are going to be crazy painful because the boss is going to get a 50% attack buff that you cannot remove. So we have a plan though. Don't you worry. Once Behemoth finishes countering. Go wait for all the auto casting. Okay, we're going to Golem again for Behemoth. Ling is going to go to the base form. We're going to put up a barrier with the Magnus. We're going to put up Refreshing for Mirage and to heal a little bit. And Dance of Ferocity. Okay, Behemoth. Wait for the Ferocity to connect. We need mana. Behemoth is going to put up Frillian Ferocious for the Demon Mitigation. Also for the Provoke. We're going to do his Almighty Guard for the Magnus and King's Barrier for the Resistances. We're also going to do Unbreakable Will for the bigger defense buff. Sky is going to, once again, triple hit the boss and try to blind him with her Dark Bow. The boss is not cooperating with the blind. It's making me very sad. Alright, we're going to shift Louise, and we're just going to Disarming to put up the gun in peril. And Yigni will go to the base form, and we're just going to Advanced Fire to put up his big Amplify. We're not trying to deal damage here. So we don't want to like push threshold or anything, so don't really go crazy on chaining. Okay. So there it is. As you see here, the boss gains an attack buff at the start of the turn, also gains fire absorption. We're going to deal with that in a second. But Behemoth now has 90% general mitigation, so he's pretty much fine. But even with 90% general mit and Golem, you can see the boss still kind of hits hard. Thankfully, he's missing the majority of his attacks, which is wonderful. Okay, so that actually, we didn't take much damage there, but the boss missed most of everything. Anyway, so we're going to set up for the big kill next turn. So now Behemoth is going to wait for all this to finish. We're going to guard Behemoth. We're going to put up 400% defense and spirit. We're going to also put up the attack and magic buff. We're going to spread buffs this turn anyway, so there's no reason really not to. But again, we're not going to hit the boss with anything offensive this turn because we don't want to get dispelled. So we're going to Sharp Spear focus only with Sky. Elena is going to double. We're going to Morale, and we're going to Killer buff with Azure Might. Ling is going to go to the Shift form. We're going to fill Morale. We're going to Imbue the party. And we're going to Celestial Dance to give a lot of Mirage for Behemoth. Now, Yigni is going to use Yigni first. We're going to before Louise, I should say. We're going to Vitality. We're going to Seared Wisdom on Sky for the big Amplify. We're going to Fruits of Research. That's the perfect dispel. And Gemini for the modifier boost. So you'll see that Fruits of Research right here is going to perfect dispel a lot of the boss's buffs away, which is very useful. And then Louise goes to the base form. We're going to Field, Amplify, Killer, and now we're going to do Incapacitate Target for the big break and in peril. Now we've put up literally every single offensive buff possible, which makes doing our burst damage a whole lot easier in this phase. Behemoth still has his Magnus of 90% general mitigation. He's also guarding for 50% more. That's effectively 95% damage reduction. Plus he's got Demon Mit, Human Mit, Physical Mit, 400% defense. So he was totally fine there. His Magnus is now worn off though, but the fight is over, so who cares? And okay, wait for all this to finish. Wait for all the auto casting to finish, and it will be time to kill. Wait for all auto casting to be done. Okay, let's go ahead and put up the Resounding Will. Just refresh that. So, the boss has no defense and spirit buff. He's got Spear in peril, Sword in peril, Dagger in peril, Gun in peril, a 135 fire in peril, a 90% spirit break, an 87% defense break, and yeah, we are ready to burst. So Behemoth is, oh, not yet. We also need to get some mana back for Behemoth to chain. So Resurging Will give Behemoth some mana back so he can help chain this turn. Okay, so Behemoth is going to triple Royal Rake. to the base form with Elena. And in this order, we're going to double Salvation and then Piercing, because the Sword and Peril is already up. So use Piercing last after the chain is already built. Sky is going to shift. We're going to LB. Yigni is going to 5 times. We're going to 4 times Novice Spellfire, and then we're going to cap it with Debilitating. Louise is going to shift. Now she's just going to 4 times Chaos Wave with 3 Disarmings and a Neutralizing. And then Ling can also triple Dragon's Bite this turn for even more capping damage. So, okay, so let's do our damage. So I've been doing approximately 2.3 billion to 2.4 billion, depending on variance. This is healthily over the damage cap. There it is. There it is. 2.44 billion with every single bulk modifier turned on. We had all the defense mods, all the resistance mods, everything turned on. We did basically 2.5 billion. So we overkilled by a huge amount. Perfect score, everything. Now this is the damage breakdown. You can't really count this too much because we had to burst the boss across multiple turns. Louise and Yigni spent like 4 or 5 turns chaining every single round in phase 1. Sky only actually did 2 limit bursts that dealt damage. So this is not super relevant for a comparison because this is spread across the entirety of the entire fight. This is not a 1-turn burst window. But there is technically the damage breakdown. Okay, so that was the clear, and you know the hit point modifier literally will not change that clear in any way whatsoever. It will. We did 2.4. The boss has 3.5 billion HP, but half of that from 50% is 1.7 billion. So we overkilled the full HP boss with a huge amount. So once I get an EX3 Ling from the shard step up, I'll just do this again and get a rank 1 score. I'll probably wait until the last day of Clash of Wills to actually spend my shards for Ling. So I'm not going to actually do that for 10 more days. That's why I went ahead and record this clear now, so you can see the clear, because the strategy, there's going to be no changes to the strategy. At this point, I feel like that strategy is pretty safe. We protected our tank on all the dangerous turns. There was 1 or 2 dangerous rounds. If the boss connects too many times through blind or something, then and you wipe, just come back in, try again. It does happen every now and then, but most of the time that clear is pretty steady. I've done that clear 4 or 5 times now, and I've only actually lost like twice after getting this turn order worked out. Okay, let me take a quick break, and then I will show you all the gear and explain in detail each unit's build. See you in a few. Alright guys, so you just saw the clear I did, or you used the timestamp to skip to the gearing section. Anyway, this is the team that I used. Now before I get in here and start showing all the gear and explaining the units, let me address a question I know I'm going to get a ton of, is what if I don't have X unit? For this perfect score video, with all the modifiers turned on, all the bulk modifiers, all the attack modifiers, the resistance down modifiers on our team, the resistance up modifiers on the boss, I don't think it's really possible to perfect score without Louise, Sky, and Yigni all on the team together. I kind of think all 3 of them are just a requirement for a perfect score with all mods turned on. Obviously, if you're turning off some of the modifiers, you can do whatever you want. But I don't think it's even possible to perfect score without all 3 of the best morale units currently in the game. Elena is kind of sort of required because she has 160 demon and human killer buff. Elena can probably be swapped out with some other units, but she's still really good and she was free, so there's really no reason not to take Elena. Ling is very swappable. Ling can be swapped out with Bulwark. Bulwark does the same thing Ling does, actually does it better. Bulwark is a better version of Ling for this very specific Clash of Wills. Ling might be better than some other ones, but Bulwark is a great swap for Ling if you don't have Ling, but you did chase Bulwark and got him to a high EX level. Bohemi can also be swapped out with any physical tank, with the disclaimer that Behemoth is incredibly good for that counterattack mana restore that he does. As you saw during my clear, I had basically no mana problems this entire clear. That's because Behemoth keeps counterattacking percentage mana restore, which is a really, really big deal for dealing with the mana drain. Now, if you have Bulwark, Bulwark has a lot of sources to restore mana as well. That won't be as big of a problem. Then you could swap out Behemoth for pretty much any physical tank you want. But I needed Behemoth's mana restore to help with the party. Also, his 90% mitigation is a big help on turns 8 and 9. Anyway, yes. So, with that said, if you have all the units and you think a perfect score is doable for you, let me show you the team and what we did. So, Behemoth started in the shift form. The shift form starts with Philosopher's Stone. That's not even important, honestly, because we filled 300 MP on turn 1 with Ling. So actually, you don't even need a Philosopher's Stone for him. Actually, you technically don't really need any of this for him. Yeah, all of this is really not that important in this shift form. Base form, full bulk. You might notice we're not using passive provoke. I wanted to go as much bulk as possible, so I skipped passive provoke. We had active provoke during every single turn except for turn 7. Turn 7 we did not have active provoke, but we didn't need it on turn 7 because I calculated the only reason you're really provoking is for the single target mana drain, and on turn 7 I calculated everyone's actions, and with the mana reduction gear, with the counter mana refill and Philosopher's Stones on turn 7, even if everyone got mana drained to 0 on turn 7, we were okay. I calculated it to where everyone could still do all their actions on turn 7, even though we were not provoking. So every other turn we used his active provoke, and it was fine. So we're not using passive provoke to give him more bulk. If you're not confident about turn 7, the mana problem, then you can give him passive provoke, but it will hurt your bulk a little bit. He is full evasion with Mechanical Heart. If you don't have Mechanical Heart, then you're going to want like Snow Bear. If you don't have either of those, hopefully you've got a way to heal your tank. I'm not really entirely sure how to answer that. But we needed a way to heal the tank without using actions because we were really action tight for this clear. And here is his card. So full evasion, full bulk. Yep, there was his build. Elena is on Golem. We used Golem on turns 1, 7, and 8 for survivability. That was a big deal to help survive, especially turn 1. Turn 1 is like the worst. Anyway, shift form, Esperfill. Lots of Esperfill. We've also got a little bit of Esperfill on Behemoth in the shift form, only just for turn 1. And we've got a little bit of Esperfill on Ling in the base form, just for turn 1. Those are to make sure it's guaranteed to be filled on turn 1, so we can Golem on turn 1. Anyway, shift form, just Esperfill, a little bit of mana reduction. Vermilion Flag is helpful for the break immunity, for Magic Break. If you have it, great. We gave her a source of Auto Bravery. This is a Thunder weapon. Do not hit the boss with Thunder. Ever, ever, ever. She never attacked. She has no counterattacks. So using a Thunder weapon in the shift form is okay. But I just wanted to give her an auto buff just in case. I think on turn 5, she actually goes into the turn without an attack buff. And then turn 6, she wanted the chain. It's really minor in any case. Anyway, base form, full damage. Damage against demons and humans. Chain cap increase. There's the build. She chained on turn 6 and 10. 275 demon, 300 human, and there we go. Ling, in the base form, is using 80% mana reduction, her TMR or STMR, Dragon's Brush, Call of the Wild, Philosopher's Stone. Those are all important, and make sure she has enough MP to be able to shift on turn 1, and turn 1, she needs to be able to do her Morale, her Magnus, and Assassins all at the same time. So shift form, she's only got 50 from 3 stars and 10% from Love's Whereabout. She has 60% mana reduction in the shift form, Philosopher's Stone, Call of the Wild, Brush, and she's geared for damage in the shift form. She only dealt damage on the kill turn. Honestly, she didn't really need to because we overcapped by a lot. I think Ling did 100 million on the kill turn, and we did 2.4 billion. So we actually didn't need her. But if your gear is weaker, then obviously Ling contributing will help a little bit. 125 demon, 250 human. Gun and dagger for the imperils. And here is the shift form with her own card. Base form, 80% mana reduction, a lot of Call of the Wild, etc., Philosopher's Stone, and she was support. She did human mitigation. She did all kind of stuff. Ling is just really important here. Ling or Bulwark. Louise in the base form, Vermilion Flag, mana reduction, Heliotite, Gold Hairpin, that's a 40% mana reduction, Philosopher's Stone, 50% from another Love's Whereabouts, so that is, I think, a grand total of 50% mana reduction. Yeah, 50% mana reduction in the base form, plus Philosopher's Stone, plus 1900 MP, which allowed her to use her her buffs after being mana drained on turn 1 and etc. There we go. And shift form, damage. Double gun, fire damage, a little bit of mana reduction for Heliotite. Mana reduction is a really big deal on this fight. It really is. And there's her build, maxed everything, maxed human, maxed demon, and she chained. Shift form of Yigni has an auto amplify, another Vermilion Flag, Heliotite for mana reduction, Philosopher's Stone, auto buffing, Bayment Synergy to help out on turn 1. This is only in the shift form, but the shift form is not the damage form. Louise's card. And yeah, on the shift form, he did his Magnus twice to do regeneration for the party, also for curing debuffs on turn 4. That was kind of important. He cures all the imperils on turn 4 using his Magnus ability. When you use this Magnus ability, target it on Behemoth after he does his skill. Because it mana drains the target, but it applies, it removes all the debuffs, etc. Anyway, base form, double dagger, mana reduction, lots of killers. He chains and does a bunch of damage in the base form. 275 to both killers, and he's a chainer with Louise. Sky, in the base form, a 100% blind item. If you don't have the Dark Bow Plus, you can use like Rainbow Whip, Summer Whip, just a source of blind. We need her to blind the boss on turn 1. I was trying to use de-accuracy on turn 1. Accuracy down is not as good as blind. Behemoth was still dying on turn 1. Blind allowed Behemoth to survive on turn 1. Now, it is a little bit random whether Behemoth gets hit like a bunch or not, but blind is a really big deal on turn 1. So turn 1, we use her to blind the boss by using her Magnus. Her Magnus is also an 87% attack break, which, again, more ways to survive turn 1. So she Magnuses and double cast just a whatever skill to apply blind on turn 1. She also has Anti-Decay Amulet, which is permanent, not permanent, is 3-turn undispellable break immunity buff. This cannot be dispelled. So, and every time she shifts, which is like every single turn basically, it keeps refreshing the break immunity buff. So she never got broken, which was great. Lots of mana reduction. These are 4-star TMR, so Malit. So she's got 30% from materia, and that's it. And that allows her to do her skills on after mana drain turns. Shift form, damage. She was the biggest damage dealer in terms of burst. Now, I know showing the damage report, it showed her as like kind of the same as Louise and Ling. That's because Louise and Ling spent like 7 turns during the fight chaining and dealing damage. Sky only hit twice, but both of those hits were really, really painful in damage dealing. Gun, double-hander, chain cap helm, just LB damage build versus demons and humans. We've got max demon, 275 human, and 280 LB damage. And that was the clear. Okay, so, yeah, perfect scoring this Clash of Wills is really, really hard. But this strategy, if you have all of these units, really good gear, the strategy that I've come up with, it works really well. It's just, it's intensive to pull off. But after spending the weekend practicing it for like 20 orbs, I'm pretty confident that this strategy is a good way to do the fight, assuming you have all the pieces of the puzzle. Okay, see you guys next time.